Australian firm Jana Investment Advisers is taking the trend for sustainable investing to a new level. Their national operation counts charities, foundations, universities, insurance companies and pension funds as just part of their $1 trillion plus advisory portfolio. They're management owned and totally committed to a net zero future. I'm Andrew Wilson and I caught up with CEO Georgina Dudley and Head of Sustainability Rachel Halpern here at COP28. So Georgie, you've been here a while already, lots to talk about I guess and plenty of new people to meet.
Absolutely, and it's been really exciting to be here and meet people from across the globe. It feels that the answers are there across the different participants, and if we can just collaborate together, the solutions aren't far away.
Are you that positive as well, Rachel?
Absolutely. I'm looking to be inspired here by all the smaller stories and the corporates that we don't normally get to meet. You know, we're used to looking at glossy publications, and I want to get beyond that and hear what the green shoots of hope from people on the ground with interesting new solutions.
Well, it was 40,000 in Glasgow, it's 100,000 here, so that's clearly something's growing, isn't it?
The scale is here, and that's inspiring, and it's challenging as well with that many participants, but we've got hope for the future.
Okay, let's take this to the studio and get into more detail.
Sounds good.
Georgie and Rachel, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
It's really good to be here.
First of all, tell us a bit about Jana as an organisation and why you are who you are.
Oh, we're an institutional investment consultant. We have clients in Australia and New Zealand, but our focus on investments is global. And we're a partner to our clients on all the things related to investment. So that includes finding investment opportunities, managing risk, and thinking about governance and assurance. And sustainability and the net zero transition is really an integral part across all those areas, which is why we're excited to be here at COP28 in Dubai.
So you'll have existing clients, you'll have new clients you want to bring on board. What kind of conversations do you have with people wanting to change the way they invest their money?
Yeah, sustainability and the climate transition is really an integral part of all the different areas. So it's a complex area and it's a changing area. So a lot of the conversations we're having are trying to see through that complexity, see through the different jargon and different definitions across the world and help focus on what matters. And a large part of that from our perspective is seeing climate risk as a financial risk. So as part of that changing world, there's both risk and opportunity, and that's what we see as kind of an exciting part for our clients to be a part of.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of the conversations that we have, clients are already bought in on the fact that there's this big transition happening across the entire economy globally, and it's exciting, and they want a piece of it. And they're looking for risk-adjusted returns that fit with their sustainability ethos, and that's what we're helping them with.
Do you think that conversation would have been a bit different, say 7-10 years ago?
Absolutely. Yeah. First of all, the opportunity, the investment landscape was different. The economy was different. But now we've got a plethora of opportunities coming up for clients across all asset classes.
So tell us a little bit about your 3 pillars of commitment to net zero.
Sure. Jana was one of the founding signatories of the Net Zero Investment Consultants Initiative. And as part of that commitment, we have 3 different underpinning areas. So this involves integrating net zero into the advisory services that we provide to clients, integrating net zero into our implemented products, and that's included some recent changes where we have integrated targets to align with a reduction in carbon exposure by 2030. And also integrating net zero into the business, which means that we really need to walk the talk and make sure that we're doing everything on a corporate basis that we believe and aligns with the advice that we're providing to clients.
You say talk the talk, so if I'm a new investor and I'm coming to Jana for the first time, how do you demonstrate the kind of criteria that I know that my fund would follow?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that a lot of clients come to us and say, and they come to us specifically with a question about, show me the investment opportunity that will make me a lot of money sustainably. But a lot of the time we have to take a step back and say, well, what do you believe in? What is your ethos? And how are you set up? What are your goals? And take it from there. And so it's a much broader conversation, all-encompassing conversation about their investment strategy together with their sustainability strategy than just throwing a couple of sustainable investment options over the table.
I mean, do you have that broader canvas to work with now? that you can offer all sorts of different opportunities or take things in all sorts of different directions depending on what the client finds important?
Absolutely. I mean, there's more than one approach to net zero. So a lot of our clients have made net zero commitments similar to us, and they're part of GFANZ, the Global Financial Alliance of Net Zero, and they will come to us for a discussion on which is the most appropriate pathway to net zero for them. And so that's where we're having a lot of conversations, and that might mean, where they want to allocate a certain amount of capital to climate solutions, or they might want to really lean into stewardship, which is using their influence as an investor. And we really encourage that. Earlier on, to your point, about 10 years ago, there would have been a lot of conversation around emissions reductions targets and meeting those in a really strict way year on year, which might force uneconomic outcomes for the portfolio, meaning that they had to divest in order to meet the emissions reduction target. So we're not finding clients so attracted to that anymore, and we don't think that kind of approach leads to a real world outcome for net zero anyway.
Could I describe that? I mean, this might be quite a dumb question, but could I describe that as changing investment strategy from being a negative one to being a positive one?
I think that's a really nice way to describe it, and there's huge opportunity there.
And I think we're finding that it's no longer about kind of a client looking to act on their own. Partnerships is an integral part of what we're looking at together as well. So that could mean clients working together, it could mean clients partnering up with investment managers, and increasingly we're seeing the opportunity for the public sector and the private sector to come together. So our clients need the right returns and the right regulatory frameworks, but there's a lot more opportunities that are out there.
And at the other end, the fund managers and the investment managers, are they responsive to the kind of conversations you're having? Are they kind of in with the similar ethos, or have they been dragged kicking and screaming into a different world?
Oh no, I wouldn't say so. I would say the opposite. I think the fund managers are there. They're already there, and they're delighted to see the asset owners get on board as well. But there's an interesting interplay between whether or not, who's going to lead the conversation. So some investment managers lead the stewardship efforts, and some asset owners run it themselves internally. And so we're still figuring out, there's different models, and clients are figuring out what works for them.
As part of what we do is we're typically looking at due diligence of investment managers from all aspects of an investment process. And there are some that we'd see as the leaders, and there would be some that we'd see as kind of standard practice. The same is true for net zero as well, and that's part of what we're doing, is identifying those that we think exhibit best practice and provide leadership in that space.
Looking ahead, tell me a bit about your stewardship program.
Well, as I was saying before, 10 years ago the conversation was very much more around divestment, whereas now the opportunity, the real change can happen if an investor decides to transform their entire portfolio. And really that can only happen if they have an understanding of the transition pathways of the companies that they're invested in. And by transition pathway, I mean what are the actions, what are the capital expenditure that they need to make in order to, or the R&D they need to do, the business pivot they need to make in order to have a business model that will be aligned to net zero. And what stewardship is investors understanding those pathways and using their influence and helping their companies who are in their portfolio to get on board with that pathway. And so if the future of stewardship as we see it is investors working together more to do that, because we don't want to see everyone having duplicative conversations in silos, whereas if they get together and have there's more influence, they can have more influence and they're more effective. And actually, if you're a company receiving that message, you have fewer conversations and a more streamlined message, so it works better.
So our clients are, in the main, long-term investors for a set of beneficiaries, and they're thinking about long-term investment returns for pension funds, for example, of trying to set a better retirement future for their members. Stewardship allows them the chance to provide the message of, we have a large amount of capital and we want to be able to create a better future, and coordinate that message of what they want to see from the corporates.
But they're making a commitment, aren't they? I mean, we're talking about a timeline. As we said, a decade ago, the attitude was different. We're in a place now, presumably in 10 years' time, we'll be in a different place again. So people are joining you for the ride, if you like.
Absolutely, and it's a fast-changing ride that we've seen huge change that has happened over the last few years, and really we need to see really significant change coming through from a climate perspective as part of that transition for the course of the rest of this decade will be really important.
Final thought then. What are you looking out there across the hills, beyond the borders of Australia, out into a bigger world and communities like the one you're getting involved with here? Do you sense a different energy? Do you sense a change? Because a lot of the policy progress is pretty depressing.
Absolutely, and I've alternated in my time here at COP between energy and inspiration and a certain amount of depression over the kind of how complex the challenges are. So there's a huge amount that needs to be done, and there's a huge challenge that we're facing. But I think we have the opportunity if we all work together, but it's not going to be an easy road.
I would add to that and say that the only way we're going to get to net zero is through optimism. And so that's what I'm determined to be, and that's why I'm here. So very exciting.
Splendid. Georgie, Rachel, thanks very much indeed. Pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you.